Happy Monday. We are having some technical difficulties. Anyways, I think we got it figured out. We are live. It is Monday, April 20th. This month is both dragging by and flying by. I hope you had an awesome weekend and did something that was different than what your weekday looks like. I got my mountain bike out, got out a couple of times, found some new trails that were really quiet. So that was really, really fun. I got to see some really cool mountain views and just be outside in nature. I'm a little bit sore. Definitely haven't been riding my bike much before this weekend. And so I'm feeling it today, but that's okay. So today I'm going to rest a little bit, maybe do some yoga, but share what you did in the comments and how you enjoyed your weekend. But what I want to really dive in today is kind of talking about how your strategies for building your business and creating more stability and more consistency in your business can work together so that you're not having to do extra work for the same result. And the reason I thought about this is that what I realize is, for most consultants, most commissioned professionals, a lot of small business owners, raise your hand if you have a website, right? You probably have a website. You probably either paid someone to develop it for you or you spent a lot of time developing. I'm guessing somewhere on that website, you have a place where people can connect with you, that they can maybe download some information, they can enter an email address. And it seems like sometimes we put like our online resources over here in one basket and then our offline strategies in another. So what I mean by that is what I see a lot of business owners do is maybe they go to a networking event or they get a referral or they meet someone and they automatically go into their sales process. So they set up a meeting, they get to know them, they maybe do a needs assessment. And there's nothing wrong with that. That is really important to have those sales strategies and to have that sales process set up. I talk a lot about that in the 4-part framework for creating predictable profits. You can get that for free. Right now, it's available for a limited time. I'll put the link down below. But sometimes you meet someone and you're like, they're really cool. They have a business. You might be able to help them. But you get the sense that they're maybe not in an active buying cycle right now, or even really in an open to buying cycle right now. And so in those situations, we tend to kind of say, it was so great to meet you. Let's stay connected. And then that's it, right? That goes into another basket completely. What I want to encourage you to do is think about how can you blend your online and your offline resources together for maximum impact. So say you meet someone at a networking event and you have a great conversation with them, but they're maybe not a great fit for what you offer now, but they're curious or they asked a specific question. So what I would recommend is at the end of that conversation, do you have a business card? Get their business card and then invite them to download that free resource or to check out your website or send them an article from your blog, right? That you can utilize these tools that you've spent a lot of time creating to continue a conversation with people that you meet offline. Now, what I have found is actually in terms of building an email list, getting traffic to my website, the number one way that I do that isn't through Facebook, right? We're running some Facebook ads right now for this free framework, the 4-part framework for creating predictable profits to get more people into our, warm lead cycle in terms of people that we know for this new training that I'm going to be offering, this new mastermind, if you will, to generate more consistent revenue and predictable profits. But that's not how I typically build my list. How I typically build my list is I will be talking to somebody and I will say, I've got this great resource. I'll go ahead and send you the link for it. And then they can download it and they enter their email address. The reason that I'm bringing this up is we often think of our business in these silos. We have, our outbound sales efforts, our networking efforts, our referral efforts, our online assets, and we don't think about how that they blend together and how we can utilize them strategically. That ultimately, if you've taken the time to build a website, you want to be getting people to see that website and thinking about, the point of that website is to generate leads, it's to create relationships, and it's to create credibility. But if people don't go to that and you just say, it was nice to meet you, let's stay connected, and then you talk to them again at the next networking event that you're at, you miss a huge opportunity to take that relationship deeper and to show what you're doing. So let me use another example for this. Say you're a real estate agent and you meet someone at a networking event. They're not actively looking for a home to buy. They're not actively looking to sell their home. Maybe they moved into a new home a year ago. And so, they're really not someone that you're like, oh yeah, we're going to do business together, but you like them and you would love to work with them in the future. So how do you set it up so that you start a conversation that can continue? So in 3, 4, 5 years from now, when they are ready to buy, that they're thinking about you, that you're top of mind, that you've built that relationship, and do so in a way that doesn't take a huge amount of effort and time from your standpoint. Overwhelmingly in the poll, and if you haven't had a chance to put your answers down below in terms of where you want support in terms of the sales process and creating more consistent cash flow and predictable profits and more stability in your business, it was this idea of creating systems and following up. Here's the thing. I always joke, I'm like, CRMs are like the gym. You can be a member of the best gym on the planet, but it doesn't matter if you don't go. You can have the best CRM in the world, but it doesn't matter if you don't input the data. And so when you're thinking about it, I'm going to be talking a lot more about how can you create these systems in a way to generate revenue with that predictability and to establish those relationships. But you've got to get people into that, right? You have to have them into the system. And oftentimes we have these casual conversations, small talk at a networking event through a friend of a friend. And you are like, hey, I want to develop this relationship with someone, but they're not in an active buying cycle and we don't know what to do with it. And we totally forget about all of these resources and all of these platforms and all of these assets that we've built online. So I'm saying this because you can actually use those as part of your follow-up system and to get people automated. So maybe you're an insurance agent and on your website, you've got some great blog resources for people around, what's appropriate coverage, for different phases of your business. Well, after that, go ahead, get their card, say, hey, after our conversation, I thought you'd like this article. Let's stay connected. Do you mind if I add you to my newsletter? You can ask those questions specifically to see what people think. And I think this is the other thing too, that we think we have to be passive about getting people onto our newsletter or email marketing list. I'm going to turn off my phone because that is very, very annoying. So we think we have to be passive. We have to think that they have to find us, come to our website, want to opt in. And we forget that, right? The most important thing in sales is to ask questions. And we can ask them a question. Hey, are you interested in what's happening in our real estate market and real estate trends? I know you're not actively buying, but just in terms of what's happening with your home values right now. And if they're like, yeah, awesome. Do you mind if I add you to my list? I like to send out, quarterly updates of what's happening in real estate. And I think that's something you'd really enjoy, given your focus on, really understanding how your real estate can set you up for your future. I'm totally just ad-libbing right now. And then if they say yes, you are within total legal and appropriate realms of adding someone to that list versus waiting for them to find your website, go to their website on their own because they see it in your email signature and subscribe. And that once people are in that, you can put them in a nurture sequence, a lead development sequence. You can create different sequences to automate that follow-up. But these two things do not have to be separate. They do not have to operate individually on their own. And the more you can think about, in my offline marketing, how do I get people engaged in the assets that I've already spent time with? And then online, how do I get those conversations with people when it's appropriate to actually moving forward to have a conversation offline. And so not thinking about these as two separate silos for your business, but actually thinking about how they can work together. And I'm constantly talking about this. My area of expertise is not in digital marketing. It's not in email marketing. It's not in social media marketing. It is in outbound proactive sales and going out and having conversations with people. But I know enough to say that a healthy business ideally has a very strong and effective outbound proactive sales strategy and a strategy for creating inbound leads and developing networking opportunities and marketing opportunities and leads online. You want to have a healthy approach to the offline lead generation as well as you do to online lead generation and strategies. And you want to have both, and you want them to work together, because when you do this, you get the biggest payoff for the efforts on both, and you're reaching people in different ways. I have a colleague, her name's Allie. She's an amazing sales strategist who works within the hospitality industry. And she always talks about this thing, right? It's not the golden rule, it's the platinum rule. Don't treat other people when it comes to sales the way you want to be treated. Treat them the way they want to be treated. You have some clients that are going to prefer online conversations, that are going to prefer online information gathering. And you have others that are going to prefer offline conversations and offline resource management and offline connections. You want to be comfortable in both, and you want to know as much as possible, how do you get these things to work together? How do you proactively get people to engage with your online marketing resources? And then once they're in that system for you and your follow-up system, how do you pull them out at the appropriate time to have those offline conversations? So this is what I want you thinking about in your business. How do you blend those two parts of your business? This is a really good time too to have some self-reflection, to think about, where are you strongest? For me, I am strongest in having conversations with people in person, whether that's sending out, interest emails, whether that's meeting somebody at a networking event and figuring out very quickly if they're a potential client for me and how to move that conversation forward. Where I need support and where I need help and where I need to learn and grow and develop is in the online space, and figuring out how do I map those. And so that's an area where I'm continuing to grow. That's one of the reasons I'm doing Facebook Lives, and you're seeing some Facebook ads, and we just started a new LinkedIn advertising campaign. These are all areas where I'm learning, how can I blend these things together? Because I know a healthy business is well balanced in both. You never want to put all of your eggs in one basket. If the only way that you have been doing lead generation is through personal connections, going out and talking to people, and you don't have any online strategies in place, when something happens in that offline environment, you're going to have the impact greater. Same thing if you have all of your assets in terms of social media, and that is the only way you generate leads, but then Facebook changes the algorithm, or costs go up, or something happens where that's not effective, you're dead in the water. And what you want is a business that's balanced in both. Now, depending on what your market is and what your growth opportunity is, some businesses are going to be more heavily dominated, in the offline world, and some are going to be more heavily dominated in the online world. Okay, that's better. So think about that for your business, but recognize that even if your business, the bulk of your effort, 80% of your results are coming from one, what do you need to do to shore up that 20% in the other areas so you're not losing opportunities? And most importantly, how do these things work together? How do you bridge those conversations? One thing I'm really loving right now from a website standpoint is, and I was really resistant to it, but using the technology to get people, if they're on the website, to see if they qualify to maybe set up a meeting, right? So if I'm doing marketing and someone goes to my website and it's not someone I would ever have the opportunity to meet in person, having a system in place to be able to pull that lead in and set up an appointment. And then the same thing where if I meet somebody offline at a networking event, making sure that if they're not going to go into we're going to go set up a meeting and we're going to, dive in and see how we might be able to work together, but I like they're a great maybe referral source for me, or I just, want to stay connected, getting them pulled in. Like, I've got a great Facebook group, I think you might really like it. Do you mind if I add you? Sure, no problem. Okay, great. Right now, all of a sudden, instead of that person being somebody who's just their business card is sitting on my desk, they're actively engaged with me on a regular basis. So what I want you to focus on today is thinking about how do you get your online and offline strategies to work together more effectively. What does that look like in your business? Share in the comments below. And then this week, because it was the number one thing that you guys talked about that you wanted to see, we are going to be talking a lot more about systems and processes for follow-up, so that when you meet someone, when you get that lead, that it doesn't just get lost, that it's either like all in or nothing, or you put in effort and then you're like, oh my gosh, what happened to that person I was talking to? So I want to talk about some system and tools to help you succeed in that. Have a great week. It is a new week. We are, I think, on week 5 of our mandated social distancing. That is really, I think, for a lot of people, we're really kind of at the part where probably emotionally we're over it. We're ready to get back to real life. And it's frustrating. And so what I want to say is just hang in there. It's okay to be frustrated. It's okay to be stir crazy. I have so much admiration and respect for people that are trying to balance parenting and your kids' schooling with work and workloads, plus the stress of what is the long-term impact of all of this going to be in the economy. It's a lot. And so I just want to say, stick in there. That's not the right thing, but hang in there. There you go. Hang in there, because, what you do now does matter. And it's okay to give yourself grace. It's okay to say, hey, I'm frustrated, I'm overwhelmed, but we don't know how long this is going to last, and we don't know what the impacts are going to do. So take small actions every day that are going to impact your business. And if you can think about, right, okay, maybe I've spent more time developing some offline or some online resources for my business. How am I going to integrate that when I go back and I start going to networking events, on the regular? What does that look like? How can I maximize all of this that I've been putting together? So start thinking about those things now. So when the time comes, you're well positioned to actually take that action and get the best results from the work you're already putting in. If you guys know me, I really believe in work-life balance. It's one of my core values is fun and adventure. And I am really about focused effort to get results, but I don't believe, I hate the word hustle. I don't believe that the goal is always to work harder. I think it's to be more effective. And if you've put in the hard work to develop a great set of systems and tools, either online or offline, figuring out how you can maximize that by getting them to work together, so you're not having to work twice as hard by keeping them separate, will do your business a tremendous amount of good and will help you create a lot more stability and a lot more predictability. So share what you're doing in the comments. Have a great rest of the week, and I will see you tomorrow.